Posted BYU/Yaki Jackie. AITA for splitting off my knitting club and joining a second one to escape mommy talk. About 2 years ago, I, 36F, started a club through a meetup site. It was for women to get together and do stuff like knit/crochet/sew/embroider/bead. It started slow but ramped up and became a bi-weekly thing. I became fairly close with a number of people and considered them friends. As time went on and new people joined, others moved away, things shifted in the club. A lot of new or expecting mothers joined the group. Conversations in the meetups would eventually turn back to being about kids, no matter what other conversations were going on. Someone would be talking about their job, and one of the moms would find a way to steer the conversation to her daughter's grades. Me and a few others would try to redirect conversation, encourage quiet folks to speak up, etc. At one point, a very cool new person joined, Amy, and during the last 2/3 of the meetup, she said something like, "I didn't realize this was a mom group." They all laughed about it, but Amy didn't come back. I sent her a message through the meetup app and asked her about it, because I thought she was a great addition, and she said she just wasn't into mommy group stuff. Explaining the whole story to her, she offered me a solution: just let them have their mommy group, and split off and make a new one. I felt bad because some of those women were really nice, but I don't care that much about your kids. I'm sorry. A light-hearted anecdote here or there, sure. But I started to dread going to the meetups because it would always end up about their kids. So Amy started a new club, and advertised it, and I told a few other members of my group that I knew were tired of being bulldozed. We scheduled it differently and I continued to attend my old group a few more times until I said I was handing it off to another woman, and stepping away. I didn't give any reason, didn't lie, etc. Well, about 3 months later, they found out. Probably saw it on the meetup app. Boy, it didn't go over well. I got confronted by one of the moms and told I was unfeminist and not family friendly and judgmental and a kid hater. I ended up saying, "Look, I get that this hurt your feelings, and I'm sorry. But the old group just became something different than I intended, and despite trying to shift it, I felt like splitting off and forging a new group was the best choice for everyone. Now you guys can talk about your kids, and we can talk about other things." She ended up slamming me on Instagram and FB, trying to make it into a big crusade, but it kind of flopped. I still grapple with feeling bad about it. I think I was right, and I tried to be polite about it, but it obviously hurt someone's feelings badly enough to be this angry at me for this long. Posted BYU/AITA twin period. AITA for defending my sister's period against my stepmom even though I don't have a period. I, 16M, have a twin sister, 16F. We live with our dad and stepmom. Our dad is an essential worker, so he's out working most days, leaving our stepmom. My sister's periods are bad. She's on medication to help with the flow of blood, but she doesn't have any prescribed painkillers. And her cramps are bad. She can barely move and sometimes she throws up. We have some off-the-counter painkillers that my dad got for her, which helps her a little. When my sister has her period and cramps, she usually doesn't leave her room. I'm normally the only one she will let into the room since we're very close, so my stepmom doesn't fully understand how bad her cramps get. But I see them firsthand. Only my dad and stepmom know where her painkillers are, as she's too unorganized and would probably lose them. Every time she has a cramp, she tells me and I go ask my dad. My dad was at work this time, so I asked my stepmom where the pills were and she started saying how my sister's such a drama queen. I didn't really have time to argue with her since my sister was in her room in pain, so I ignored it and just kept asking, but she wouldn't tell me. At this point I just called my dad, and he told me where they were and I got them for my sister. I could have just left it there, but my stepmom's comments really annoyed me. I went back downstairs and called her a fucking dick because she didn't just show me where the pills were. I told her she was out of place to deny my sister her pills and have to make me call my dad when he was at work, and that she should have just shut her entitled mouth up and told me, not word for word. I cursed a lot. She told me that a girl her age is just being dramatic, and everyone has cramps, so she didn't need to have the painkillers in case she became dependent. She told me she had cramps too and they went away by the time she hit 25 and she didn't use any painkillers for them. I told her she had no idea what she's talking about because she's never actually seen the pain my sister goes through because she never bothers to check in on her. She told me to shut my mouth because she had more of an idea about what a period was like than I did because I'm just a boy. She told me if her period was really that painful, she would have come downstairs and asked for the pills herself. I told her she could barely move from the pain, so of course I'm the one who has to get them. At this point I was getting really mad, and I didn't want our neighbors to hear my yelling, so I just went upstairs. I told my sister about the fight, but she didn't really give me an opinion on the fight since she was half asleep. I've been thinking a lot about it and I'm very sure I'm in the right, but I don't want to act like I know everything about periods since I've never had one and she's had many. AITA for arguing with my stepmom about periods. Posted BYU/Eternal Flower Girl. AITA for telling my friend she can't be a virgin? I'm unsure if this is rude and / or ridiculous, so Reddit can be the judge. My friend, L, very adamant about saving herself until marriage. We are both 21F. It wasn't even just for her, she would shame and side-eye people who weren't married and sleeping together, even one of our mutual friends. She wholeheartedly believed that was a sin, as she was very religious. However, she got boyfriend, and they ended up sleeping together, told me that herself. Edit, she told me he took her virginity. One thing led to another and they broke up amicably. After that, we were hanging out and she went off on a tangent saying, girls need to respect themselves and not sleep around, that's what husbands are for. Me, does that make you one of those girls? L, what are you talking about? Me, I mean, you had sex. I explain that it doesn't have to be shameful and she can just not do it again until she's married if she pleases. She seemed to be in disbelief that she's not a virgin anymore. She also seemed upset that I mentioned that to her. I mean, we're 21, I hope she knows what sex is. AITA for pointing this out. Edit, oh wow. I didn't expect this to blow up, haha. I do have one thing to say, when my friend says sleeps around, also she believes any girl in a relationship that's having sex is also sleeping around, because she is being unfaithful to her future husband. That was poor wording on my part, I was reusing her words, though. Smiley face, posted BYU/Mike_row_wave. AITA for cutting the power to a little girl's birthday party. I worked as a lifeguard at a small neighborhood pool for several years. Our pool had a policy about parties that basically said management needed to be notified in advance so they could schedule an extra lifeguard or two and approve extra party pay. Our pool closed at 8 p.m. and was technically membership only, but we wouldn't normally kick anybody out unless they were breaking pool rules. So one day I'm working a closing shift with one other junior guard, and a group of parents/kids shows up around 6:45 p.m. to start setting up a party. I didn't recognize any of the families, which was odd, but NBD. I was a little miffed though, because we hadn't received any word about this party, and were technically both understaffed and underpaid for this event. But there weren't that many people, so it wasn't a big safety risk to only have 2 guards. So we just kept doing our jobs and kept an eye on the kids, pretty much all little girls around the ages of 12 to 14. Our policy was to announce reminders that the pool was closing every 15 minutes starting around 7:15. By 7:45, seeing that the partygoers were the only ones still at the pool and that they hadn't made any effort to start cleaning up, the other guard and I started exchanging displeased looks with each other. Well, 8 p.m. rolled around, we announced that the pool was closed, and the party people continued to ignore us. By 8:45 I had had enough of waiting for them. So I made one last announcement that the pool was closed, went into the guard shack and just turned off the pool lights. One of the mothers was livid. The sun had set and it was dark. Not total darkness, I only turned off the large overhead lights. There was still plenty of light coming from the pool lights and the street lights around us. But that didn't matter to the absolute Karen who stormed her way over to us. She started yelling, mostly repeating stuff like "you never turn the lights off on guests." This pissed me off because at this point I was about 90% sure none of them were actually members, but having no way to confirm that, I just explained to her the pool rules and that we needed to lock up as calmly as I could. After a few minutes the junior guard stepped in and started arguing with her. I let her go for about a minute or two before I said something to the effect of "let it go, it isn't worth it," to which the Karen self-righteously replied, "That's right, it's not." I turned the lights back on and we basically just glared at the group as they awkwardly began to clean up their party. I was somewhat vindicated by the fact that none of the other parents looked us in the eye as they made their way out, and I remember relishing the sound of the gate closing as I locked it right behind the final parent who left the pool. Still, I felt bad for the little girls whose party it was. We issued plenty of reminders/warnings, but I wonder if I should have handled it differently. Like and subscribe.